course, the new charge of murder. As you all know, on Sunday morning for a report of a possible DOA. A relative of the suspect in this case, Charles Van Doyle Bird, 49 years of age, you see him here, had us for a report of a foul odor at his residence. This relative had mentioned that they had not seen his wife in some time. The reasoning had been that she had left. He was telling people that she had left. When questioned about a foul odor in the residence, he blamed it on a septic issue. But on this evening, the relative of his called law enforcement and told us that he believed that there was a dead body in the home. Deputies made entry. They found the body of who we now believe to be Angela Bird, or who we now know to be Angela Bird, wrapped in plastic, several layers of materials, and in a severe state of decomposition. She was taken to the medical examiner's office that night, and so I'm prepared today to give more details that I was not at liberty to discuss on that evening, but I will be honest with you, the details that I'm going to be giving, and while they're not yet even full details, it is pretty grisly and may be very strong for some folks that are watching. But I will share with you what he shared with us on that evening. And to be quite frank, because of the advanced state of decomposition on Miss Bird's body, the medical examiner at this point, from what I'm told, is having to rely pretty heavily on what he told us, because there's obviously with the state of decomposition, the quality of the evidence, the quality of evidence presented on the body is degraded with the state of decomposition. So what I can tell you is that after the SWAT raid, where the SWAT team made entry on a residence where he was located, he was brought down here and he was questioned at length by our homicide investigators. This suspect says that around the 16th of June, he and his wife had been arguing. There'd been some disagreements over allegations of infidelity. He was accusing her of infidelity. At a certain point, that argument escalated to the point where this suspect admits to us having strangled her. I believe she was seated in a chair in the living room area. He describes strangling her with one hand, and as she was struggling with him, he actually several times bit her face to the point where he drew blood from her cheek from biting her so hard. So he describes strangling her to the point where she lost consciousness, and in his words, he described having watched her take her last breath. As I mentioned in my previous press conference on this topic, he was very matter-of-fact with it, with the details. And as I mentioned, he was so matter-of-fact that he mentioned to us, in light of the fact that he had not been arrested before for anything else, this was his first arrest, in other words. He actually used the term "go big or go home," which was pretty shocking. I mean, even for those of us that have been in law enforcement for decades, that's shocking to hear somebody say about a spouse that they murdered and then spent 32 days in the home with that decomposing body. This is video of him today being magistrated for an additional charge of murder. The reason that we didn't initially charge him with murder is we still, at that point, although we believed we knew that this was Angela Bird, we had to wait for the medical examiner to positively identify her and then to be able to give a cause and manner of death. At present, they've got the cause and manner listed as homicidal violence. And so that led us to today having enough information with that positive ID and the cause and manner to book him, re-magistrate him on murder. Additionally, a couple of days ago, he was also charged with a secondary charge of tampering with evidence. The initial arrest he was arrested on was tampering with evidence for the body. The second charge of tampering with evidence came about because of the truck and a cell phone that he destroyed in the aftermath, and so he was charged a second charge of tampering. So now at this point, 2 charges of tampering, now this murder charge. He is looking at a total of about $650,000 in bond. And so at this point, I will open it, well, let me do Spanish first, and then I'll open it up to whatever questions you might have. Esta tarde nosotros le pusimos otros cargos a este sospechoso, Charles Van Doyle Bird, 49 años de edad, por homicidio. Se aparenta que en la mañana del 19 de julio nosotros recibimos una llamada a la residencia de este sospechoso que él vivía con la víctima, que ahora ya sabemos que es Angela Bird, la esposa de él. Se aparenta que un pariente de él nos llamó esa mañana que él no había visto, el pariente no había visto a Angela por varias semanas, y el pariente pensaba que algo le había pasado. Ya el familiar nos dijo que podían oler un olor feo, como nos dio la información, y que ya nosotros entrando a la casa, nosotros descubrimos un cuerpo que nosotros pensábamos que era Ángela, que ya el cuerpo ya estaba descompuesto, desafortunadamente, pero el cuerpo estaba envuelto en una carpeta, una tarpa y otros materiales. Ya el cuerpo fue llevado al médico forénsico, donde el día próximo, el día lunes, hicieron una autopsia. Y ya después de ahí nos lograron dar el nombre positivamente de Angela Bird, pero también la causa de su muerte, que ahorita es violencia. Nosotros con esa información ya este día aplicamos por una orden de arresto para Bird por el homicidio, pero también con molestar la evidencia. El primer cargo que lo arrestamos fue con molestar la evidencia el cuerpo. Unos 2 días después de eso pusimos otro cargo por molestar evidencia con el teléfono de celular que él quebró, y también esconder la camioneta de él, cual ya sabía que nosotros estábamos buscando esa camioneta. Entonces ya este cargo de homicidio va a ser el tercer cargo. Ahorita él está en nuestra cárcel y nosotros no pensamos que se vaya a salir pronto. Él nos dio información cuando hablamos con él esa noche cómo mató a su esposa. Él nos dijo que él la estaba ahorcando con una mano y le estaba mordiendo la cara con mucha fuerza, y que ella empezó a sangrar. Él también nos dijo que él la ahorcó hasta que ya no se estaba moviendo, y él vio que ella tomó sus últimos respiros. Entonces, ya con esa información, el médico forénsico nos pudo dar esa información, porque desafortunadamente, por las condiciones del cuerpo, la condición descompuesta, ellos están limitados en la evidencia que podemos juntar de ese cuerpo. Entonces, ellos ahorita se están basando en lo que él nos dijo cuando él nos dio la información. I'll open it up to whatever questions you might have.
Sheriff, did he give a reason as to why he thought his wife was cheating on him?
My understanding, as he describes it, there had been numerous, he says that there were numerous instances over the years. They've been married for a long time. I believe close to 20 years on and off. They've been married twice. And my understanding is that he says that there were previous allegations between them of her being of infidelity. Now, I don't know that that's the case, but that's what he told us about it, and that's what he said that this latest one was.
In the warrant that we were reading today, Mr. Bird was found at a property that was not his own. Do we
Right.
expect any other charges or people to be arrested in connection to this case?
It's possible. That night or that day, we made several arrests. As we got information of where he was. Some folks were found leaving that residence, and they were stopped. At least one of those persons had an unrelated federal charge for escape from a correctional institution. But there were some other people that we believe did aid him in evading authorities. Now, Whether they did so knowingly is what we're trying to determine at this point. So I wouldn't say that we're close to arresting anybody, but I certainly would not be surprised if additional arrests happen as a result of it.
After hearing that go big or go home on Sunday, it left a lot of people in this community with that feeling of uneasiness,
Sure.
especially for those who live along Pleasanton Road. What is your message? I mean, you even called this case extremely shocking.
It takes, I've been doing this job long enough to where very little shocks me at this point. But there are certain times where I can point to in my career that I've been in the presence of a certain person or seen or heard a certain thing that will stay with me forever. And hearing this person tell one of my detectives that, just matter-of-factly, go big or go home, when talking about violently murdering his spouse, that's going to stay with me for a long, long time. Now, I don't think that there's a continuing threat to the community there off Somerset Road. But what I can tell people is, look, at the base of this is a domestic violence situation. Last year, we eclipsed the number of homicides that we'd handled from the previous year, and more of those were domestic violence-related homicides, which is that, clearly. What I would do, though, is use this as an opportunity to remind everybody in the community that domestic violence doesn't care where you live. It doesn't care anything about socioeconomic status, race, anything. It can happen anywhere. So I would say that I would use this as an opportunity to remind everybody that domestic violence-related homicides, every single one of us has the danger of being affected by it to some extent. Whether or not it's in our household, at some point, we will know or be related to someone that is a victim of domestic violence. And so use this as an opportunity to remind people that if you are in a domestic violence situation, or if you're in a relationship that looks like it might head that way, it's not, this issue of domestic violence ends like this. It usually ends in a homicide. It escalates to that point. It starts out small, starts out with verbal, then pushing and shoving or grabbing, and then it escalates in nature. It doesn't get any better. So if you know somebody that's involved in a domestic violence or dating violence type situation, urge them to get out, because it doesn't go away. It escalates to the point where someone dies usually.
Sheriff, hubo algo que mencionaste ahorita muy importante, que del total de homicidios el año pasado, ¿puedes elaborar cuántos fueron o más o menos que señalaste relacionados con violencia doméstica?
Total number of homicides from last year was 18?
Está bien, digo, aunque no
Okay.
digas la cifra,
Yeah.
pero hay una...
Sí, el año pasado nosotros tuvimos más homicidios que el año anterior. La mitad de esos homicidios eran de violencia doméstica. Entonces, uso cada de estos casos, porque eso es lo que es este caso. Obviamente, violencia doméstica. No se sabe si ellos tuvieron historia de eso, pero obviamente algo pasó y acabó en la muerte de esta mujer. Nosotros usamos cada caso para recordar a la comunidad que este asunto, este problema de violencia doméstica, esto es algo que no se quita. Sino que si alguien está en relaciones con alguien y ahorita están alegando, insultándose uno al otro, y luego ya eso escala hasta el punto que se empiezan a forcejear, eso escala hasta el punto que alguien le pega a la otra persona, va a seguir escalando hasta el punto que alguien mate a la otra persona. Entonces este asunto, este problema no es algo que solamente se quita. Les urjo a la comunidad, si conocen a alguien o están relacionados con alguien que está en una de estas situaciones, les tienen que urgir que se salgan de esa situación antes de que acaben así.
Y lo que me lleva también al caso más reciente fue el señor alemán,
Sí.
que mata a una expareja, pero la otra parte también está tan afectada que posiblemente termina en el suicidio de esta persona, en la cárcel.
¿Cómo dice usted?
O sea, violencia doméstica.
Ajá.
Es el abusador y la víctima. ¿Ya? Entonces, a veces no nomás es la víctima la que está dañada, sino el agresor, al punto de que Alemán hace lo que hizo
Ok, sí.
y cuando es atrapado, también después terminan.
Bueno, mira, por eso tenemos. Can you show that slide again, Willie? Is he out? Oh, okay. Esa ropa que tiene puesto él es para prevenir el suicidio. Muchas veces los que intentan cometer suicidio, ellos usan el uniforme que nosotros les ponemos. Entonces, muchas veces les ponemos esta ropa que es material muy duro, que no se puede romper y usar como eso. Entonces, obviamente, con este sospechoso, este prisionero, ya tenemos eso en la mente, que algo va a pasar. No sé si él nos dijo algo que pusiéramos esa precaución, pero por alguna razón nosotros estamos tomando esa precaución con este sospechoso. So the question was, and I should have elaborated on this, the reason that he's dressed oddly, that's a suicide smock. And so while I don't have information on me on what it was that he told us, clearly something that we either observed during the evaluation or something that he told us led us to believe that he's a suicide risk. He was placed in a suicide smock to be able to prevent or lessen the chance that he may harm himself.
Él les comentó por qué hizo eso cuando conversaron con él.
¿Cómo dice usted?
O sea, que si él les dijo por qué mató a la
¿Por qué la mató? Bueno, él nos dijo que porque ella fue infiel con él, pero ahorita nosotros no tenemos información para saber si eso es verdadero. Eso es lo que nos está diciendo a nosotros.
So where does the investigation go from here? I mean, I know he mentioned her cell phone. Is that something that you're looking into? Floresvilleized trash? I mean, where does the investigation go from
I believe we did recover that cell phone in a subsequent search warrant. Now, he did give us information. He was very forthcoming, and he did give us information that led us back to that residence and executed a second warrant. And I believe that phone was exactly where he said it would be. So, now we go through the forensic evidence and, strengthen the case. Although at present, we've got pretty much a full confession. We still have to put this case together as if we, don't believe him or, for whatever reason. We're going to, bring every piece of evidence we can to bear on the issue. So now it's just a matter of strengthening the case to the extent that we can.
Sheriff, muchos dirían que acá, como dijiste ahorita, ya prácticamente confesó lo que hizo. Entonces, pero ahorita, dices, estamos poniendo todavía el caso junto, porque a lo mejor puede que no sea cierto lo que dicen.
Bueno, nosotros todavía tenemos que prepararnos para el día que esto vaya a la corte. Obviamente, aunque yo no sé lo que está diciendo él, pero por ejemplo, con nosotros o con ustedes, cuando hicimos el prep walk con él la primera vez, él dijo, no quiero que me juzguen por lo que pasó en este accidente. En su mente de él, lo que pasó es un accidente, pero ya él nos había confesado lo que hizo y obviamente lo que hizo él no parece accidente. Entonces, para nosotros nos tenemos que preparar para lo que sea. Nosotros nos tenemos que preparar si él da la excusa que tenía condiciones mentales o no lo hizo o alguien más lo hizo. Nosotros tenemos que prepararnos para eso con toda la evidencia que nosotros ya tenemos.
And I know he made that go big or go home comment, but Sheriff, at all during when he was talking with investigators, did he show any sign of remorse?
At certain points he would break down or appear to break down, but again, I don't know how much of that is true and how much of it was play acting. I think he's a certainly cold-blooded person. I don't know how much pre-planning went into this or if it was truly a crime of passion. Either way, this woman, Angela Bird, is now deceased. We have the man responsible for killing her behind bars right now, and now it's just a matter of putting together the strongest case we possibly can to keep him behind bars. Antonio, el año pasado, 19 casos de homicidio, 10 de esos fueron casos de violencia doméstica. So 19 murders total last year that we handled, 10 of those were domestic violence related.
Es la mitad de violencia doméstica.
Más que la mitad.
La importancia entonces de lo que dices,
Sí.
de tal vez se puede prevenir si se toman los pasos.
Se puede prevenir, pero también sabemos que si no se previene, entonces es un delito que va a seguir escalando hasta el punto que alguien fallece. It is a preventable crime. If you want to prevent it and you want to get out of it, there are resources available to you. But if you don't take steps to prevent it, namely get out of that situation, it's not going to go away, it's not going to solve itself, it's not going to stop happening, it's going to keep escalating to the point where someone dies. Okay, thank you all so much.
Thank you.